5:06 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. And good morning to you. Sam Weatherford is in for Joan Jones today. Louie is in for Sam. And Joan will be back, I think, on Wednesday. But Sam, great job, and looking forward to you covering the news for the rest of the day. There's a lot to talk about. I cannot wait. I don't know about you, and I'd love to get your thoughts. What is Trump going to announce today? See, I wrapped up Red Eye Radio talking about this, but I didn't have a lot of time to expand upon my thoughts of Donald Trump and him making some sort of an announcement today at 1 o'clock our time. So Chad Benson is going to get all the fun of breaking whatever it is that Trump wants to say. But, you know, over the weekend, and perhaps you heard me talking about it just a few moments ago on Red Eye, where you had all of these crazed idiots, these Democrats, and they were saying that Donald Trump was dead. They were actually saying that Donald Trump was dead because they hadn't seen him for a few days. And so sure as anything, Trump comes out and he plays golf on Saturday. I think it's his granddaughter, I think? He played with her, and she posted a video or a photograph on Instagram. But now you've got all of these people on the left, and part of what they're doing is they are looking at his posts on social media, on Truth Social, and they're like looking at all the words, and they're saying, you know, his posts on Truth Social, they look more literate. They look smarter. Because, you know, Donald Trump is so stupid. Whoever's posting for Donald Trump, who is clearly dead, is a lot smarter than the former president was, right? That's the attitude that they've had over Labor Day weekend. And what a bunch of nut jobs. But that's what they've been doing. So now, you know, true to form, I love that Trump has decided, okay, you know what? Then here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make an Oval Office announcement. He probably just made something up to prove that he's fine. But this is the crazy thing. And then I'm going to move on, I promise. But the crazy thing about all of this, obviously, and I know I can hear you screaming at the radio. These are the same people that didn't have a damn thing to say about Joe Biden. Right? There, I said it for all of us. I saved that as my last point because it is so incredibly obvious. But anyway, so we'll see what the president has to say. And people are also dissecting photographs. I don't know if you've seen this, Sam. Have you seen it online?
Oh, my gosh,
where they're actually dissecting the president's photographs that were taken. I don't know where he was. He was at a golf club.
Yeah.
And they take a picture, and they're looking at Trump's eyes. And are they like closed? Are they half closed? Is he really alive? They swear that there's something wrong with the president. And I think this is all a coordinated attack. I think that's part of what this is that they are trying to go after Donald Trump the way the Republicans went after Biden. But the big difference is that Joe Biden clearly was having challenges. And Joe Biden, Donald Trump, clearly 3 hours and 17 minutes. He had that cabinet meeting that was televised. I mean, it was great. So I don't know what it is. I don't know if this is a sign of desperation or what, but I think part of what this is, needs some video and audio. I think part of this is that the Democrats are trying to distract from their own failures.
No federal troops in the city of Chicago. No militarized force in the city of Chicago.
This is Mayor Brandon Johnson out of Chicago. This cluster F continues, where Chicago is out there. And do you know how many? Hey, Louie, could you do me a favor? Could you Google for me, because I don't know if there's been an update overnight, how many people were killed in the city of Chicago over the weekend? Now, when I started at midnight, it was 7 people shot and killed in Chicago. 54 were injured by gunfire over Labor Day weekend. Yet, Brandon Johnson doesn't really seem concerned about any of that. He's just up there chanting.
We're going to defend our democracy in the city of Chicago. We're going to protect the humanity of every single person in the city of Chicago.
So he said that they're going to protect the humanity of every person in the city of Chicago. What about the 7 that were shot dead?
Says 54 people were shot.
54 people were shot. Do we know how many people were killed?
7.
7? Okay, so that hasn't updated. So I don't see that Brandon Johnson, protected those people.
One of them was a 17-year-old boy.
Really?
Of the 7 dead.
Okay, 17 years old. Although, can I be honest? I hate to say this, but you see the crimes that 13 and 14-year-olds are committing these days? Now, I don't know this 17-year-old. I don't know the circumstances of his death. I don't know if he was a gang member. I don't know if he was caught in the crossfire. I don't know. But, I mean, there are a lot of little kids doing abhorrent things. And again, I don't know the circumstances of this 17-year-old and whether or not he was somebody who, is a gang member or what. Because, oftentimes when you hear 7 people shot, 54 wounded, those gang members shooting back and forth, right?
So on the same night that I believe he passed away, there was another 17-year-old girl was hit by a stray bullet. I think it might just be the sheer volume of bullets flying in Chicago.
Oh, it's almost as bad as Memphis. I mean, there is. I'll see if I can find it. I don't know if I saved it, but there is another. There's another video out there in Memphis of more gunfire, and so. Was it you? Was it you that said they call Chicago Chirac?
Yes.
Okay.
Chirac.
So we need to come up with a name for Memphis, because if Chicago gets to be Chirac, then I need people's help. What do we call Memphis? Like, let's think of a really violent city in the Middle East, and join it with Memphis, and we'll see if we can come up with something. In the spirit of Chirac. I think we should. Super text line is open. Let me know. 615-737-9986. But you got all these people, they're chanting no troops in Chicago over Labor Day weekend. So then you've got, again, Mayor Brandon Johnson out there in Chicago. And they have this huge press conference. I don't know if you saw this, but they had this huge press conference where they're going to defend Chicago from Donald Trump. And Johnson, very celebratory, signs an executive order to protect ourselves from the threats and the actions of this out-of-control administration, which is funny because there was no executive order to protect those shot and those killed over Labor Day weekend. Nothing. Now, what is crazy is that the vast majority of those killed in Chicago, as you know, are black. So how can this guy, Brandon Johnson, the mayor, purport to be an advocate for Black Lives Matter when the reality is he is taking executive actions to stop Donald Trump from saving lives? Because remember, everything Donald Trump does is bad to them. So I've got some audio from Chicago's mayor coming up next as he signs this executive order that does not save or protect Black lives or any lives, but he's sure proud of what he's doing. Straight ahead on Super Talk 99.7. It is 5:15. Time to check the roads on WTN.
And no update from earlier. It's just that crash out in the rural hill area on I-24 westbound past Bell Road, exit 59. Other than that, nothing happening on your way into work today. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
As far as your weather goes, today it's going to be cloudy, a couple of showers, a heavy thunderstorm possible as well. Watch for flooding, a high of only 79.
Nice.
Is that the high, really, 79?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Going to feel like 80 and a low of 61. Appreciate you listening to Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. By the way, most of the audio that you're hearing on the radio, you can see it if you watch us on YouTube, Facebook, X, 997WTN.com, and the rest of the places as well. And This is Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson, again, proudly signing an executive order as Trump is threatening to deploy the National Guard.
I'm signing an executive order today that will launch the Protecting Chicago initiative. This is a project that builds on the months of preparation that we have done that has led up to this very moment. This order affirms that the Chicago Police Department will not collaborate with military personnel on police patrols or civil immigration enforcement.
Boy, you're showing him. Way to go, Brandon.
We will not have our police officers who are working hard every single day to drive down crime deputized to do traffic stops and checkpoints for the president. We do not want to see tanks in our streets. We do not want to see families ripped apart. We do not want grandmothers thrown into the back of unmarked vans.
Yeah.
We don't want to see homeless Chicagoans harassed or disappeared by federal agents. And so this executive order makes it emphatically clear that this president is not going to come in and deputize our police department.
Yeah, so there you go. So for you folks watching, this is what I think about sometimes. So I'm watching the video that you're hearing on the radio or on watching on YouTube or whatever. But there's a sign language interpreter guy that is to Brandon Johnson's left. I would have paid that guy $500 to just continuously sign, "Let's go, Brandon." I mean, nobody would know it except for people that know how to do sign language, but wouldn't that be funny? I think it would be. All of this carnage is happening. And President Trump over the weekend putting J.B. Pritzker on full blast. Now, this is from the New York Post. President Donald Trump slamming J.B. Pritzker as weak and pathetic on Saturday, warning that he'll deploy federal troops to Chicago if the Democratic governor of Illinois doesn't get the violence under control. Pritzker has accused Donald Trump of attempting to manufacture a crisis in Chicago. I'm going to ask this question. How many deaths would they consider a crisis? Because obviously 7 dead, including a 17-year-old, maybe a couple of 17-year-olds, apparently is not a crisis to J.B. Pritzker. So if Donald Trump is attempting to manufacture a crisis, well, then obviously they don't see that there's 54 people that have been gunned down in Chicago. They don't see that as a crisis. Holy cow. All right. Donald Trump's fiery Truth Social post addressing a previous weekend of carnage in Chicago, where shootings left 6 dead and more than 24 hurt between August 22nd and August 25th. Trump saying 6 people were killed, 24 people were shot in Chicago last weekend. And J.B. Pritzker, the weak and pathetic governor of Illinois, just said that he doesn't need help in preventing crime. The president wrapping up by saying J.B. Pritzker is crazy. He better straighten it out fast or we're coming. MAGA, President DJT. He didn't say thank you for your attention to this matter, which I personally like. The White House, which notes Chicago has led the nation in homicides 13 years in a row, has reportedly been planning for months to possibly deploy as many as 1,000 National Guard troops to the city as early as September to stamp out crime. Well, we are now at Tuesday, September 2nd. So let's see, and that is what I wonder. Is Donald Trump, is he going to announce that he is going to send the National Guard into Chicago? I don't know how you do that because you've got the governor and the mayor and, of course, all of the elected lunkheads out there in Illinois, all of the leftists out there. They don't want the National Guard in because they would rather see people in Chicago gunned down in a hail of gunfire than Donald Trump coming in and fixing the problem. And that's what's going on. They're selling out their own residents. They're selling out the what did it say, Chicagoans? So that's what they're doing in Chicago. They're just selling out lives because of politics. So we'll have to see where all of this goes. Donald Trump making some sort of a big announcement today, 1 o'clock. We'll have it for you live right here on Super Talk, 99.7 WTN. It is 5:21 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk. The Super Text line is open. It's 615-737-9986, 615-737-WWTN. And Sam Rutherford has the news coming up at 5:30. Sam, what you got coming up? 5:36 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Sam, I think we're going to go with Memphganistan. Memphganistan. Because that's the easiest for the host to say.
Well, it also, when you throw that Southern twang on there, it sounds kind of cool.
Oh, I don't have a Southern twang.
No, I'm saying, but the people of Memphis has a totally separate accent than when you come up 40 to Nashville.
Oh, do they?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. What's different about it? Can you describe it?
Not really. It's just different. That's the only way I can put it. It's just different.
Okay. Well, I don't know if I've ever known anyone from Memphis because few people survive from. I'm totally kidding. I'm sorry.
I've been and I've returned unscathed.
Okay.
Just got to know where not to go.
Like everywhere?
Yeah.
But so poor Louis can't figure out how to do a poll. I don't think it's Louis' fault though. I think that somebody.
Are we not signed into the account? That'll do it.
I don't know. Whatever. It doesn't matter because you know what? The overwhelming number of people on the Supertext line, which I now have a laptop dedicated to the Supertext line, everybody said that they like Memphganistan. And as far as I go, it's the easiest one for me to say.
Well, and it's even funnier when you think about the $85 billion we left in Afghanistan worth of equipment.
Yeah, there is that too.
Is it funny? No, it's not.
No, it's not funny at all. All right, real quick. Supertext line is open, 615-737-9986. Have you seen Donald Trump's 11 life lessons for kids? Have you seen this? The White House, I think they put it out over the weekend. This is really good. I'm going to play the audio. It's long, but it's really good. It's Donald Trump, and what they've done is they've taken a bunch of speeches and they have, edited them together. And if you're watching on Super Talk TV, on YouTube and Facebook and X, you can see this, but it's certainly, you're not losing anything by just hearing the audio. But this is Donald Trump, 11 life lessons for kids.
Let me share some of the biggest lessons I've learned from a lifetime spent building dreams. First, if you think that you're too young to do something great, let me tell you that you are wrong. You're not too young. In America, with drive and ambition, young people can do anything. Second of all, and very importantly, you have to love what you do. I rarely see somebody that's successful that doesn't love what he or she does. Third thing is to think big. You're going to do something, you might as well think big, because it's just as hard to solve a small problem as a big problem, and it's just as much energy and everything else, except the result is going to be a smaller one. So love what you do, but think big. Fourth is work hard. Work hard. Fifth is don't lose your momentum. You just want to keep it going, and you have to know if you are losing it, you have to know when you're losing it, so maybe you stop and maybe it's time to stop. Number 6, if you want to change the world, you have to have the courage to be an outsider. In other words, you have to take certain risks and do things a little bit differently. Otherwise, if that weren't the case, everybody would be successful. No.
Do you know what I love about this? I don't know, Sam, if you're watching this on Super Talk TV, but the B-roll on this, because you're hearing the audio on radio, but the B-roll, the background images, are Donald Trump through the years. Mm-hmm. And I got to tell you, it's really touching, as a matter of fact, because, the Democrats, and I'll play the rest of it, but, the Democrats, they're all about this victim mentality, right? Donald Trump is telling kids with these 11 life lessons, he's telling kids how to be successful, and dare I say, how to be rich. which is something, of course, the Democrats, they don't like capitalism. They don't like rich people. They would rather be victims of everything, and they would rather, embrace communism and socialism and so forth. Donald Trump, I mean, these life lessons, as a guy who's 57 years old, make a lot of sense.
Be successful. Number 7 is to trust your instincts, common sense. You can go very far in life with common sense. 8th, everybody should believe in the American dream. It's real, it's there, and it's right before you. 9th, think of yourself as a winner. The power of positive thinking. In recent years, too many of our young people have really been taught to think of themselves as victims. But in America, we reject that idea that anyone is born a victim. Our heroes are the ones who take charge of their own destiny despite the odds. And next is to be an original. The old-time greats were people who had the confidence to be a little different. God only created one of you, so don't try to be someone else. Finally, and most importantly, never, ever give up. I've learned that perseverance is everything, so whatever happens, no matter where you are in life, stay optimistic and just keep pushing forward. Never let anyone tell you that something is impossible. Ever, ever, ever. In America, the impossible is what we all do best.
I mean, I love that. I'm gonna tweet that out. As a matter of fact.
You know what I love about it the most?
What's that?
Is that most of the, I mean, obviously it's cut together and they did a really good job putting it together, but they're all long run-on sentences that he spoke at one time in one setting, not cut from over the years trying to make him sound and look good. It's just what he can do. The man is magical behind the microphone, much like yourself, Dan.
Oh, kissing ass will get you everywhere. I do. I love this too. And I went ahead and if you follow me on X at Dan Mandis Show, you will see it. Because I do like, Sam, how they show him over the years. And they show him working hard. They show him working the phones. And those life lessons, I mean, let's be honest. Those are really good life lessons. Each and every one of those things that Donald Trump talked about are things that I would tell, my own kids. And conservatives would no doubt embrace. So if you want to see it, check it out on my page at Dan Mandis Show. Did you see the Sanjay, I should say Sebastian Gorka? Did you see this interview, Sebastian Gorka, with CNN? This was actually a really cool, and it's another long one, but I think it's really good. You've got Sebastian Gorka, and he's on CNN, and they start going back and forth on mass shootings. And the media likes to play around with mass shootings. They like to include suicides in mass shootings. They like to play with the data because that's what they do. They play with the data. They did the same thing with COVID. You know that. Breonna Keeler was trying to interview Sebastian Gorka about mass shootings. And, of course, we all know what happened in Minnesota with the I like how they say it here, the non-trans man. And he just, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know why they keep asking these folks on because they get absolutely wrecked. And enjoy this. This is CNN's Breonna Keeler and Sebastian Gorka. And they, as in CNN, they're trying to continue on with this narrative of, it's the gun, stupid. It's not the person behind, the trigger. And Gorka is trying to point out, okay, let's look at the actual facts, not what you, as in CNN, are trying to portray as part of your narrative. Listen to this.
Okay, so let me ask you about this. 96% of attackers when you're looking at the U.S. Secret Service National Threat Assessment Center, looking at 172 mass attacks in the U.S. between 2016 and 2020, 96% were non-trans men. So I know you're focusing on this shooter being trans. The shooter was trans, and that is certainly of note. But are you missing the bigger picture here when you zero in on that instead of more broadly these school shooters as an epidemic, and you perhaps miss the through line that connects them all.
Yeah, of course, you know what she's talking about, right? She's talking about the gun. Listen to how Sebastian Gorka just absolutely destroys her.
Well, no, because your facts obfuscate two things. You are using data based upon the predominant gun violence, which is gang-on-gang violence with zero ideological content. If you remove all of that, the gang violence on the streets of Chicago, L.A., Detroit,
Afghanistan,
then you come down to a much smaller data set. So it's like those who say, you know, gun violence in America causes so many deaths, and then fail to note that the majority of the stats they are using refer to also suicides by gun, which of course is not what we are talking about here today. So let's concentrate on mass shootings at schools, specifically Christian or Catholic schools. Then the data set is wholly different. So don't conflate different data sets just to make a political point. There was an ideological content to this attack. That's what terrorism is. It's not because somebody didn't get the drug deal they wanted. It is an ideological message, whether it was anti-Israel, as in this case, whether it targeted President Trump in its rhetoric, as we saw on one of the magazines written by the perpetrator on that YouTube video, or whether we saw the fact that it was anti-Christian and targeting children. That has nothing to do with gang violence. Let's not mix the two things up.
I mean, I got to tell you, that is how you tell somebody to blank off, but sounding very eloquent about it, which Sebastian Gorka did. And the reality is that we had, I mean, I don't want to regurgitate last week's topic, but, you know, the reality is that we have seen problems in the trans community with some of these folks who believe, you know, men pretending they're women, or, you know, women pretending to be a man. And they go into these Christian or Catholic schools and they start, shooting the place up. We've seen that. That has happened. And then when you look at the actual number of trans people in America, then that number becomes even more inflated. So, yeah, Gorka does have a point. And listen, you know, for me, he has an outstanding point when he says, okay, let's start honing in on some of these numbers. Because when you look at the gang violence that happens on the streets of all of those places that he's talking about, it is gang violence. Let's look at the targeted shooting. Let's look at what happened in Minneapolis over the last week, or what happened here in Nashville a couple of years ago. Those were targeted attacks. And they still, by the way, the FBI, they still won't give us the full manifesto of the Nashville trans shooter. They won't. What are they trying to hide? I don't know. But they may be trying to hide something. It's been, how long has it been now? It's been at least, about a year and a half maybe? Since the Covenant shooting? I don't have it off the top of my head. Louis, can you Google, what was the date of the Covenant shooting? I'm trying to remember when it was. But now, I will say this, to Minnesota's credit, we found out more about the Minnesota shooter in the, hours following that horrific tragedy and that horrific shooting than we, ever really found out official releases from people, from the authorities here in Nashville or the state of Tennessee. I mean, we had to... The way that we found out about the Nashville shooter was by leaked documents. Remember that. They tried to keep all of this under wraps. And then somebody leaked the pages to Brian Wilson and also to Michael Patrick Leahy over at the Tennessee Star. And that's how we found out about the Nashville shooter. What was the date of that?
The Covenant shooting happened on March 27th of 2023.
Okay. March. All right. So, yeah. About a year and a half ago, maybe? Yeah, about a year and a half.
2 years.
2 years?
Coming up on 3, if you think about it.
See, that's what happens, Sam, when I try to do math on the radio. By the way, did you see that Rosie O'Donnell had to apologize? Did you see that story?
To a box of Oreos?
No. Rosie O'Donnell apologized to MAGA. So what she did was Rosie O'Donnell actually went, well, I don't have time to do it right here. Coming up before the news, I'm going to try to do this before the news at the top of the hour, or I'll do it right after the news at the top. But Rosie O'Donnell is having to apologize to MAGA. Details straight ahead. It is Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Super Text line is open, 615-737-9986. Sam Rutherford is in the WTN newsroom. And by the way, Joan is back on, is it Wednesday, Sam?
I believe so.
Joan is back on Wednesday. No, I didn't run off Joan Jones. Stop it. No, her daughter was getting married, and she's off to Maryland to do all of that. So, and I talked to Joan over the weekend. The wedding went great, and she can't wait to come back and start doing news again on Wednesday. Sam, what's coming up at 6?